You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show. The preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. thechrisvossshow.com. Hey, welcome to the show today. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for being here. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Tell them to sign up to the show. Remember, the show is a family, but we're also like an MLM. You have to invite 5 of your other friends. No, I'm just kidding. We're not an MLM. We don't do that stuff. So, guys, I hope you're ready. We always make the joke, I think there's in the intro there, something about brain bleed. Today, we're actually not going to be bleeding your brain. We're going to be taming your brain. We're going to have Dr. Libby Kemkaran on the show. She's going to be talking to us about everything she does and how she does it. And I think you're going to be amazed. And we're going to try and tame your brain. I should have like a little whip sound for like your horse brain that we're trying to tame. Down, brain, down, get down. So we're going to try and do that. Anyway, Libby Kemkaran is on the show with us, Dr. Libby. She's an international coach and TEDx speaker. Help thousands of clients around the world massively increase their success in business. She's helped grow her clients' worth into multi-million-pound companies. She's from the other side of the pond, as we like to call it in Yankeedom here. And she's helped build their businesses from the ground up. Director of Kemkaran Consulting Ltd. and advisory director to 2 other companies. She is now a sought-after consultant to some of the most accomplished companies and organizations in the world, such as Merck Pharmaceutical and the NHS. She's the creator and award-winning Tame Your Brain methodology. I know that's really horrible. We can't afford sound effects on the show. Methodology, and she helps coaches and CEOs and individual solo entrepreneurs around the globe. Welcome to the show, Dr. Libby. How are you?
Well, I'm having the best time already, just from the whip sounds. I mean, that was brilliant.
You like that? You like that?
Can I hire you to just come and do that every time I speak somewhere?
It's not even a good sound, which I think is the funny part of it. It's really a poor sound effect.
It was a good attempt, Chris. It was good. Hi, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yes. So welcome to the show. We really appreciate you coming by. Thanks for coming by today.
Hi. We are all here, all the way in sunny England, just, getting through a very interesting time with everything changing, with all of the Queen and the King. So we're sort of a bit discombobulated, Chris, got to be honest.
There you go. Well, we're all just, we're doing the podcast here from what they call the queue. Sometimes people watch our videos 10, 12 years from now. So if you don't know what the queue is, people are queuing up to pay respects to Queen Elizabeth, who passed away recently, sadly. And so we're just standing here in the line at the queue. I think we're by Big Ben right now. If you might hear a dong or two. Does the Big Ben dong? Do I even have the right sound effects this morning or what?
It's a really interesting time, though, because people rely so much on stability and they rely so much on constancy in their lives that when something massive shifts at a societal level, it shifts at a personal level too. And that creates this huge knock-on effect in your mood, in your emotions. And we've seen already coming through the last couple of years of the pandemic to now, there's been so many shifts in how we go to school, how we go to work, this sort of thing is now normalized, right?
Yeah.
Before it was like the weird geeky kids did podcasts. Yeah. Now every man and his dog's got a podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
And even that, it turns out that God Save the Queen didn't even work in the end. So there's that. God bless the Queen. God save the Queen. Well, somebody needs to take it up with God because he didn't save her long enough. I mean, she could have lived another 10 years.
I think she did fairly well, though.
She did really good. I mean, what a life. So give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs and get to know more about you as we chat.
Yeah, it's my ridiculous surname, Chris. It's Kemkaran.com. And it's so important to have a presence on media these days. Everyone needs a website, right? But I still struggle with where do I put my website material, my blog material? There's so many places these days. It's got so busy on the internet. It's really exciting to still be doing podcasts though. And I love the fact they're almost growing as a result of people being in the listening mode, listening more due to the pandemic. I think it's a fantastic medium for people to get quality information from.
We loved it. We really changed the format of the show when coronavirus started, and we really loved it. We started getting great authors on, and people from news facilities, and people that we normally didn't really reach out to. And it was kind of great. We had a trapped audience who had nothing better to do but listen to us and try and entertain them. And then we got just incredible quality of guests on the show. So the byline on your website is "Tame Your Brain." I alluded to that in the joke with a sort of thing. So talk to us about more about what you do and how you do it.
There's two brains. There's the brain that we know we're using, the conscious brain, the one that you sit there and you rationally think, I shall do this thing. But this subconscious brain is so much more powerful. It's 5 times faster and 5 times stronger. And the trouble is most of our decisions come from this subconscious layer. We don't even know it's operating. So you might say to yourself in all your wisdom, I should go to the gym today. And yeah, you should, right? We know the reasons. It's logical. We know the reasons of I'll get fit. It'll be great for my body and, I'll be slim and lovely. But then your subconscious brain is chirping up in the background going, yeah, but you'll also get hot and you'll sweat and then you'll need to shower and it's a time cost and it's a money cost and it's going to hurt a bit because you haven't been for a while. And so if those are pushing against each other, guess what? You stay pinned to that sofa and you don't go to the gym. So, anything we think we're doing in life or not doing is a combination of those two brains working together. And that's where people need to know more about how to be the one in the driving seat. Because we think we're in control. We're not. It's our subconscious brain gripping the wheel and going, driving us off into Death Valley. So it's this understanding of your nervous system and the energetics of that gives you that power to actually then achieve the things you want to achieve.
So your job is to help people tame their brain. So get that brain under control. I have more than 2 brains, though. Wait, is that personalities? I think my psychiatrist says it's personalities. I'll make civil. There's about 10 there that they can count so far. The other 4 are hiding. I just made that up. I like that. So what are some of the ways that you help people tame their brain? I know you speak and you do other things.
Yeah, so I do a lot of speaking. I speak at corporates. I speak on conference stages. I also do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of masterclasses where I bring people into a little container and we just go nuts for an hour on specific tools that you can use. But one of the biggest things, Chris, is understanding which brain. Funnily enough, you said you've got 4. There are actually 4 types of thinking styles that we talk about. Yeah. And those are the big cats. So I profile people, and finding out whether you're a cheetah, lion, leopard or tiger is one of the first really big pieces of kit that you can do to work out how to be the best version of you. Because the 4 types are really different and they're quite distinct. We're not one of any. We're usually a blend. But the one that's in control is actually really powerful. So if you're a cheetah, for example, you're 70 miles an hour or stop, you're gunning down after that gazelle, but then you get a little bit distracted and another gazelle flashes across your sight line and you go, oh, bright, shiny thing over here. And so these people have like 3 brilliant ideas in the shower every morning, then follow through precisely none of them because they get bored as soon as it turns into hard work. So their challenges are always about follow through. They're great at starting. They start all the brilliant projects, but then they get distracted. Or you might be a lion. Lions are in the pride. They live together, hunt together, sleep together. People are really important to lion brains because they want that connection. They're all about, I only exist if you can see me. I only matter if I can help you. So they're all about connectivity and collaboration. So I get the feeling you might be a little mix of those two. And the lion heart is a very powerful one because it's really valid in this day and age because what are we doing now? We're all about connectivity, right? And so this idea of connecting tribes is what a podcast host does. And so lions are a really strong force in the world right now. But then the opposite of that is tiger brain, which is all about data, precision, that clinical, that risk averse. They get seen as being really negative and pessimistic. They're not. They're just risk averse. So they're at the back, like rubbing their chin, like they're the last to adopt anything. Whereas the cheetahs are straight in there, and the lions do it because they love the person. The tiger sits and watches and goes, "Nah, you've got to prove yourself to me." And
which is the one that eats everybody? That's me.
Depends on how hungry you are, Chris. All of us.
I mean, look at me. I was born hungry.
You haven't done the go to the gym bit then. You're not bought in.
Yeah. Well, there's that. I mean, I do the best I can. And I think I cut you off for the last one, right?
The last one's leopard. So the leopard is always last.
Oh, okay.
And it's quite ironic. The other bits are so much more important. The leopard sits and she's in her tree and she's watching. And she's seeing the cheetah gunning after the gazelles and she's going, I wish I was that fast. And she's seeing the lion connecting and going, I wish I could talk to people like they do and I'm not that extrovert. And they're watching the tigers going, wow, you're so clever. Because the leopard doesn't have as much of an ego as this other end of the grid. And so the leopard is that kinesthetic, that just feel it in your body. They just know, but they don't trust themselves enough to move. They don't like designing from a blank sheet of paper. So they always watch others. But they're incredibly loyal and they're all about connectivity and contract and context. So they want to help others. So depending on which of these four you are, you self-sabotage in different ways. You trip yourself up in different ways and you motivate yourself in different ways. So learning, that's how I help people first is learn what your brain is doing because it's wiring. It's up here behind your eyes and it's like software.
I don't know. That sounds like a team effort. Like, they're working together as a team to sabotage me. I mean, isn't that a good thing?
This is where when you bring it into a big company, and I go in as a peak performance consultant to some big guys like Merck Pharmaceutical, and when you understand what your colleague's brain is doing, you stop hating them quite as much because they're not like you. We all see the world as everyone should think like I do, because obviously that's everyone should see the world as I see it, but we don't.
Mm-hmm. I work with some colleagues that their brains aren't working. That's a problem too.
That's a slight issue.
Their brains, they don't even have brains to be tamed. No, I'm just being mean. That's not true. Maybe a little bit, just a little bit. So, I see in your website, you have several different programs for taming your brain. It looks like they're trademarked. Talk to us about some of the things you have there. You got Business Edition, Big Cat Brain, Money Magnet Experience, Trinity, Flow, and Academy. Talk to us about some of these different things that you offer on your website.
So the Tame Your Brain Academy is where I can help you for the long term as the buddy in your back pocket, because this is like going to the gym or having a shower. It wears off. Any self-development work we do, unless you're regularly refresh and repeating, you return to your set point. And we try and dial it up, don't we? And then we go, for this week I shall be all the things and stop drinking and do this and then you go, actually, it's a bit dull. And you go back to exactly where you
go back to the drinking. Yeah. Well, that's Fridays around here.
Friday. Today's Friday. Again. And so when we try to make lasting change, there are actually 4 steps, and that's what the word tame spells out. So Tame Your Brain is a methodology and it's an actual system for creating lasting change. And so those 4 steps are what I then walk people through in the Tame Your Brain Academy over a period of time. So there's regular repeated trainings, there's drop-in sessions, there's recorded material you can access. And that works like a membership. So that's my ongoing membership. So people can come and walk with me for more than a year. I've had some people that have been with me for 4 or 5 years and developed along the way. Or you can come and do a drop-in group training. So my next one is Flow. And Flow is the one that has all the big cat business brains in it. And it's all about this flow state that elite athletes know how to access. They know how to get to these elevated levels of performance. And what I love about working with athletes is you can see when it works because the high jump bar raises higher. You can see because the time shortens. And so they call it getting in the zone. But when we go into this flow state, we're actually using our brain and our body like the machine that it's designed to be. So we've dialed everything up to peak performance. Everything's at an 11. And suddenly you can achieve so much more. You just become so much more effective and productive. Those are the key things. So the programs that I run, like Flow, like Trinity, they all focus on different aspects. Some are about your money experience. So we've all got a money blueprint. So we've all got a set answer. If I say the phrase money is, your brain is already answering it. So the gaps, depending on your conditioning and what your magical big people said to you when you were young, it might be money is hard work. money is the root of all evil. I hear that one a lot. Money causes more trouble than it's worth. More money than sense. Whatever your parents chirped at you, money doesn't grow on trees. That's wiring. That's programming that's in there. And so you then spend the rest of your life following that programming unless you decide to change it, which is what I do a lot of with entrepreneurs that are setting up business, because a money story is really important in getting your business up and running.
It's really interesting how people have, those things they put down for money. My mom always used to use the excuse when we were checking out at the counter of the store. We'd always, we were constantly peppering her with, "Can we buy this?" And some sugar-based cereal that is really just a pound of sugar in a box, really. And, we're hustling her, "Can we have Frosted Flakes?" And she's like, no, because she doesn't want to lose her mind with us bouncing off the walls, a sugar crack binge. And, so she would always use the excuse, we don't have enough money. And, my parents were rich, but, that was the excuse she'd always give. "We don't have enough money. We don't have, it's not in the, And so we're always like, gee, Mom doesn't have enough money. I guess we don't have enough money. And I think we connected that on early on with our brains. And, parents sometimes don't intend things. Sometimes they're just trying to, get rid of you so they can get out of you can get out of their house, sort of thing. But at least mine did. But no, it's interesting, people, the tie downs that they have towards money. That's interesting. You have that a lot where people have like money is the root of all evil and stuff like that. I imagine some people were raised that way too.
Yeah, and that's the most misquoted quote in the history of the world of quotes, because it's the love of money is the root of all evil. But everyone's truncated it and made it that money is evil. Money isn't. Money is a nothing. Money is a piece of paper with a number on it, or a figure on a digital screen these days. But people still have all this heat around it. And so they carry it around with them as a blueprint that they view the world through that lens. So we have to go back, we have to unwire that, and we have to rewire a more healthy, positive belief set, because beliefs are like a tabletop on legs. You need a minimum of 3 pieces of evidence for a belief to be solid. So whenever we believe something, it's because we've got proof. And so you can't change that unless you kick away the old legs, collapse that old belief, and you've got to build a new one. You've got to start with things that your brain can believe. Otherwise the BS alarm goes off in your ear. If you say something, there's a lot of books out there telling you, just say your affirmations. Just say, "I'm a millionaire." And it doesn't work like that. Because as soon as you say something that's not true, your brain goes, "Woo, woo," and it shuts you down. Because if you can derail it with a thought, because if you say, "I'm a millionaire," your brain goes, "Well, no, you're not." It's done in a heartbeat.
I think I tried affirmations when I was really young. It was kind of like the Saturday Night Live thing. I don't know if you guys ever saw it over there, but there was the one guy who eventually became a senator for us here. I forget his name, but he would I think it was Jack Handy or something, but he would sit in front of the mirror and go, "I'm a good person. People like me." And it was kind of that sort of thing. And yeah, it didn't really fix things, because, then you go right back into, the brain mode that you're normally in, later, and you just go right back to robot R2-D2. You've done a lot of interesting things where, you've studied, different behavioral, psychology and neuroassociative conditioning, while you were at, Cambridge. I should say Wilts. You were at Cambridge, according to your bio here, because, you're from London. Wilts. We managed to make that thing. We had a number of people, I think, from Cambridge.
Do you not say whilst? Is that not a word? Do you not say whilst?
That's very Englishy.
That's so funny.
Is Englishy a word? I don't know.
It is now. We just made one.
We've had a lot of great people from Cambridge and Oxford on the show. A lot of Oxford people. They're really brilliant people over there. But they're really stuffy when they come on the show. They're not too fun, but, we deal with them. But, so you've done a lot of behavioral psychology study and knowledge and stuff. So this is really great, because I imagine you incorporate a lot of it into your coaching.
Yeah, the study of the brain was actually first triggered when I went to a Tony Robbins conference. And I'm sure you know Tony Robbins. Everyone knows Tony Robbins now. And I was a little baby city worker at the time. But what was different about this conference was it was the same week that 9/11 happened. So I was in Hawaii with 2,000 Americans when the Twin Towers went down. And that was a life-changing moment for me. where I was with people who had people in the towers, and there was someone on my team who lost her fiance to that disaster. And it literally changed my life, because you stand there and you watch this event unfold in the massive proportions that it did. And it's quite chilling being here, almost exactly what we're now 21 years later. And it still reverberates around the world, doesn't it? It still is so impactful, but it had a really personal impact on me, because it made me realize that life is so short. Mm-hmm. And if you're not living to your fullest nth degree every day, what are you doing? Like, what are you waiting for? And what is it that's going to take you to realize, if this all gets taken away, what will I regret not doing? What will I be there going, I can't go yet because I haven't XYZ. It's not my time because I haven't written the book. I haven't, all of those things that you think there's time for, there might not be. There might not be any time at all. We never know when our invisible timer is going to run out. And that event just made a switch flick in me. And I literally got back off the plane, went home and started phoning around trying to get into a vet school, because I was determined to do this thing that I just held up as I would like to do one day. And it was I got into vet school. And whilst I was there at vet school, Cambridge are bastards. I'm sure they're just like doing it to spite us, but they make you do 2 degrees while you're there. So I ended up I had to pick another degree.
Serious?
Yeah,
wow.
Seriously.
Wow.
So I was just like, I just want to be a vet. And they're like, nope, you have to do something else. And I'm like, but what's the point? Nope. And I tried everything I could to get out of it, couldn't get out of it. So I grudgingly picked this degree that was called Biological and Biomedical Sciences Behaviour. And there was this piece in it, which was the neural mechanisms of behaviour and the neonatal physiology and development part. And so looking at how babies' brains form, combining that with how behaviour works, I suddenly went, oh my God, this is fascinating. And it blew my head off. It was so exciting to understand why people do what they do. And that actually put my feet on the path. So when 5 years later, I'd qualified as a vet and I was really happy as a vet. And then one night I was driving home from work and it was late and it was foggy. And I stopped at this temporary traffic light that had just been put up at the top of this hill. And I was sort of gazing around out the window. And then bang, up the backside, a car, hadn't known the lights were there, ran into the back of me. And because my head was turned, it damaged C2 to C6 in my neck. Suddenly I couldn't do surgery anymore.
Wow.
So suddenly all this that I'd worked for I'd been working for 10 years to get to the point where I was this vet that I dreamed of.
Oh, wow.
Was taken away in a heartbeat. And so I suddenly had this moment of like, I'm no longer able to do this job that I love so much. Mm-hmm. What do I do now? So I had to reinvent myself. And so I took all of my neural mechanisms knowledge. I took all of my experience of leading people and training people in the workplace, and I put them together. And so I came up with the Tame Your Brain program of how to create lasting change for you, how to reinvent yourself, how to be the best version of yourself. And Tame Your Brain was born.
That's awesome. What a beautiful story. I mean, it's a challenging story, but we go through these cathartic times in our life where we're presented with challenges, life-changing events, and we have to find sometimes a new path. And so that's a great story for, you overcoming the adversity there.
Yeah, it was hard work. I've got to be honest. There were very, very dark days where when you've lost everything, you realize what's important.
You do. Yeah.
And when you've got to that low point, and I was in chronic pain for a long time, and it was exhausting to try and do any. I fought hard. I tried to be a vet for the following year, but I'd do 1 day vetting and end up flat on my back for 3, and it was just like, I can't do this.
Wow.
I'd also at the time sadly broken up from a 20-year marriage, and I had a 6-month-old baby when the car crash happened.
Oh wow.
So it was, I was on my own trying to survive. So I had to dig deep. I had to pull out every ounce of resilience that I had. And I realized then there are things that you can do. There are ways that you can create your own power. You can elevate yourself to a level of functionality that other humans would not believe possible. You can deliberately turn that dial if you know how. And if you know how is the biggest part, yeah. And that's when I realised I'm going to write this down. I'm going to capture this into a system, and that was the Tame Your Brain system, which is 4 steps to creating this lasting change, which then allows you to operate at peak performance level.
There you go. Well, you've lived it. I mean, that's a great story of survivability. You know, we all go through these changes in life, and I'm sure maybe you help a lot of people in these moments where we go through cathartic changes. I mean, I don't think anybody has a free run through life where they're not presented with problems that at the time are seemingly out of their ability to deal with them. And you have to find a way to survive. You have to find a way to adapt. You know, I've been through those in my life where, you know, your whole identity sometimes gets stripped away from you, or what you think is your identity. And then, you know, in those moments of clarity, of losing everything, you find out who you really are and the core of who you really are. And then you build on that and you rediscover you're probably a better person in the long run for it. And you look back at some of those times and you go, that wasn't that big of a deal. And I got through it and I lived. So what's next?
The biggest thing is we always fear what's going to happen to us in life. But actually the fear isn't the event itself. It's, can I handle it? Mm-hmm. And when you drill it down to that, can I handle this? You know, can I hold this now as it feels now, in the intensity now, and know that I'm still going to be okay? Even when I've lost my identity, I've lost my physical health, I've lost my marriage, I've lost that 2.4 kids destiny that I thought I had in my life. Even when everything is gone, yes, I am still okay. And that's the resilience piece, and that's the growth piece, and understanding that, as you say, who you were then is never who you are now, right? And there's always this constant evolution, this constant and never-ending growth, which is, if you understand that you're on this line and there's, as I am now and where I want to be, how do I close that gap?
There you go.
So, in a nutshell, that's what I help people do, is close the gap between what do you want and where are you now?
That's incredibly insightful. So you've been nominated 3 times in 8 months. You've won Entrepreneur of the Year in 2021 and your finals for Digital Women 2022 and on the 50 Women to Watch shortlist for 2022. You offer a free alignment test. Talk to us about what that is and some of the different people that might work for that.
So alignment is a funny thing. This is a word that I see misused all over the tinterweb. There's a lot of chatter about, oh, you must be in alignment. You must be in alignment. What? Because you're already in alignment. You just might be in alignment with a destiny that doesn't match your goals. So let's take health, because this is a really common one that people have challenges with. If your goal is to be healthy, there are certain tasks you need to do. As soon as you stop doing those tasks, you align with a different destiny. It's as simple as that. So you are in alignment, but you've aligned over here. Mm-hmm. Whereas if where you want to go is here, you have to align here. You have to change those habits to here. You have to change those tasks to here. If you don't do that, you're not in alignment with that outcome. You're in alignment with something else. So when we talk about an alignment test, what we're saying is, where are you out of whack at the moment? Where is it that you've got? Is it mind, body, soul? What layer are we talking about? Because that mind, body, soul, that trinity is so important. And when we are feeling spiky, when we're feeling a little bit maladjusted, when we're feeling a little bit that something is off here and I just keep getting in my own way and I don't understand why. Sometimes it's as simple as a money belief, or it might be a limiting belief of, this is as good as it gets. I can't hope for anything better.
Wow.
And sometimes that literally holds people stuck where they are and they can't get free. So I do a lot of work with people that are saying, I just want to manifest this thing. I just want to manifest this. And they've misunderstood this law of attraction, the secret, there's been a lot of chat about that as well. And they've just got a couple of bits wrong, because it starts here. It starts with what you believe. If you say to yourself, I'm a millionaire, and you don't believe that, don't say it. It's not going to work. It's never going to change that wiring layer. You've got to start there and unwire the bits that are holding you back. And usually that is limiting beliefs, and you're in alignment with something else.
So if you have like a vision board, I always hear these people that use vision boards. They put up a big vision board. You've still got to change your core belief systems, right?
Yes, the vision board helps with that, because what we see, we feel. So emotion drives motion is the other way to think about it. This is the think, feel, do complex. So whatever we think creates a cascade of biochemistry which washes through your body, and that's what we call a feeling, an emotion. So when we feel something in our body, it often doesn't have a word attached to it, because that part of your brain, your limbic system, doesn't have a language center. So we have to move it to language for us to move it beyond a feeling before it becomes a do, before it becomes an action. So we move it. The Broca's area in the brain is the speech area. So we have to move it to right brain. We have to feel it emotionally. So that's why a vision board is helpful, because when you see it, like say on my vision board, for example, I've got a couple of things, but my biggest thing has been the house. And so the house is up there. And every time I see that, I deliberately trigger my neurology to feel the feelings that I'd feel as I walk through that door, to feel the feelings that I feel as I wake up and draw the curtains that morning, to feel the feelings as I step into that glorious rainfall shower with the massive head and the little jets out the wall, to feel the feelings as I invite my friends in, because I'm a lion brain as well, because I want them all, everyone must be around me. Bring all my friends in, bring my kids' friends in, all the big sleepovers in the garden, in the treehouse. Feel the feelings as if it is now. And that does something really complex, which is makes your neurology believe it's happening. Your brain knows no difference between your vision of the future and your memory of what you had for breakfast yesterday. They're both pictures. The only reality is actually now.
That's pretty darn insightful.
Yeah. So when you realize that you can create a picture and your brain goes, really? Okay. And then your brain starts looking for ways to make that happen, because what it's got now is a train track to the future that wasn't there before. And now you can look for points along the way. So you may not be in the big house yet, but you might now be looking in estate agents' windows and going, is that the one? Is that the one? Is that the one? Your brain starts questing for you because you've just delivered it a destination. So that's where vision boards are so powerful in creating the neuropsychology of success around it.
There you go. There you go. That's the greatest explanation of vision boards and putting yourself in that kind of. I know a lot of athletes do that. They put themselves in. They see themselves in the act. They see themselves going through. Like if they're Olympian, they see themselves going through the race, and they paint the vision in their heads so they know how it goes, and that seems to really work for them.
Yeah, athletes have nailed this. Athletes were the first to nail this. So flow state was a theory until we invented functional MRI technology, which can see the blood flow change in your brain as you think a thought. And so we can see what happens when an athlete visualizes themselves on the podium with that gold medal going around their neck, and it fires up the dopaminergic neurons in the brain. Suddenly it got really exciting. This happened about 15 years ago. And so the pivotal book called Flow was written about 20 years ago, but the technology to say it actually is a thing only happened about 15 years ago, and suddenly the world went, wow. So I'm a flow consultant, so what I help people to do is to get in flow and stay there, to be able to access this peak state and to really utilize that in their life. And that changes the game completely, because what we love about athletes when we do see the bar raise is we've got proof then. So that's proof for the belief system of, yeah, this works.
That is awesome. That's one of the best explanations I've ever heard for that. I think I read the book Flow. Who wrote that book?
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
I think I remember either reading it or studying it. But yeah, we've had a lot of different. We've had.
It's near me. I'll see.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had we've had athletes on, Olympic trainers on the show who've talked about that state of flow and everything else. What haven't we touched on that you do for your people and clients and things that are on your website?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I do, and obviously it costs a lot more to work with me one-to-one than it does to do one of my group programs, but the one-to-one work is really deep. So I work with people in senior government positions. I work with people that are heads of pharmaceutical companies. I work with some sort of senior C-suite executives in different corporations, but I also work with very, very normal, very human people that have just had enough of feeling bad and they're ready to make a shift. And they've had enough of feeling that they're somehow missing something, and they're ready to move to a peak version of themselves. And we release trauma. We go through a closed eye process, which gets your conscious brain to sit back down and shut up for a bit. And we talk direct to your subconscious brain. And we pull out these bits that are holding you back. Because there's always something, we call it entanglement. You get a hook. And so something that's happened to you then wires to something else. And what wires together fires together. And once that software's wired, the electricity keeps running in this crazy ape. And so, I feel bad, so I'll stop doing the things. Oh, now I feel like I haven't achieved much, so I feel bad, so I'll stop doing the things. And it becomes a self-fulfilling vicious circle. So when people are ready to change and they're willing to put their money on the table and say, make this happen, we make it happen. So working one-to-one is a much deeper relationship, obviously. We get to explore those bits, the demons that are perhaps locked and loaded in there. And we literally change that. We change the way, because nothing has any meaning other than the meaning you've given it. And if you change the meaning, you can change the event. So we go back, we do timeline therapy, we do complex PTSD release, we do EFT.
Really?
There's a lot of modalities that we use to break through that. But again, the most basic thing we do is we start with a profile and we start with that deep understanding. Are you cheetah, lion, leopard or tiger? Because so much comes back to that. And how we see the world comes from that frame.
I think the timeline PTSD thing is kind of interesting. You mentioned trauma, and it's interesting to me how many people we've had on the show and talking about the traces of trauma and how childhood trauma can really affect your whole life. And it can it can really get the whole arc of your life. And so a lot of people don't deal with that or resolve that. It's something they really need to take care of.
It's very sad that there are so many incidents where people have boxed it, they've lidded it, and they've just said, let's just get on. Let's just pretend it's not there. Your brain knows. And a lovely phrase, Bessel van der Kolk, your body keeps the score. Your body holds that. And it comes out in other ways. And the saddest thing is, I meet a lot of people who have tried a lot of different therapists and a lot of different talking therapies. And the reason I'm a coach, not a therapist, because I looked at qualifying as a counsellor or a therapist, but talking alone doesn't cut it for me. And talking alone isn't as good as getting in there and ripping out the wiring that's causing those loops. So the action-based coaching is what I love. And I have had beautiful clients of mine say, you've given me my life back. And I find it's such a blessing to be able to help these people that have been stuck for so long. And they've tried all the things, they've bought all the books and they're still stuck. And then we do a couple of deep sessions, closed eye work, and it's gone. And I love that.
There you go. That's awesome. This has been so inspiring and so fulfilling. Anything more you want to touch on before we go out?
I want to give people hope. I want to say to people, there's always another way you can do things. Don't ever quit. Don't ever think that you've tried everything, and don't ever think that you can only keep getting in your own way for the rest of your life, because there are proven strategies. There's science-based things, and we blend the science with the woo, with the spirituality part of, coming back to source, coming back to who you really are. So please reach out. If anyone here wants help, if anyone wants to do their profile, I'd be so honored to help and walk with you as you change.
There you go. And you offer a free discovery call too as well.
Yes, I've limited a number of those a week, but what we also do is a round table once a fortnight, which is where you come on with me and a small group, and we troubleshoot what's going on, and we give you some solutions to take away with. So that you can go to my website, Kemkaran.com, and do the free alignment test there, and then it will offer you a place on my round table.
Awesome sauce. And people can get to know you better and everything else, and you help people all around the world. So this is great for anybody, wherever they are. Thank you, Dr. Libby, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It's been an absolute delight. Lovely to talk to you.
Awesome sauce. Give us that .com one more time as we go out.
So it's Kemkaran.com. It's just my ridiculous surname.
There you go. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Our big 130,000 now LinkedIn group and the LinkedIn newsletter. Check that out as well and subscribe to it. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.